Another example, imagine you're standing in an airport, and on a good day, you can see several planes sort of line up to land. And you could see that with your own eyes, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. The airport controller can actually see far beyond that. He or she even knows who's about to take off somewhere to land here in a few hours, which is really full visibility. And we could not make air traffic work without it. Supply chains, in many cases, lack this clear visibility that airports and the air traffic controller have. At the same time, the consumer's user experience from Amazon and other e-commerce retailers extend to all retailers and then to B2B. And customers want to know where their goods are, when will it arrive, and the expectations continue to increase. Imagine if you're a large car producer, global furniture company, or a regional supermarket chain, then you will have a variety of inbound and outbound shipments across transport modes, again, from ocean, air, road, full truck, pallets, packages, and so on. And quite often, the outbound shipments are even more complex and demanding than the inbound shipments. And some shipments could be that you are paying for, that it's on your paper. Other shipments are on the paper of your individual supplier or your supplier's supplier or even customers. Yet the responsibility to have visibility and be able to take the right decisions remain with the supply chain leader.
It's gotten so much more complex over the years, and multi-modes, further destinations, more suppliers. I remember hearing a story about a chemical manufacturer, supply chain manager at a big chemical company, who had to leave her office to go out to look to see if a railway car had arrived at her facility because she had no communication with the carrier. So, I mean, maybe Salah, you can also lend your words to this one, and maybe we can tie it in as well to one of the questions that came in so far of how we can relate effective communication to an effective logistics management system. I think that it's really well tied into visibility, this communication aspect.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great question, and thank you for the perspective you brought in indeed about, how can you coordinate that communication flow with the physical flow? It boils down really to the way you are looking at supply chain. Very early in the courses, I think that's a little bit the supply chain one-on-one you get maybe the first week or the second week when you engage in that type of learning. You learn that supply chain is about 3 types of flows. The first flow is the physical flow. So these are the actual goods that are manufactured that needs to be moved from point A to point B, from the point they are produced to the point they are consumed. Because if they are not consumed, there is absolutely no value in them. So it's essential to have that physical flow running by. And then you have, I would say, on the other way, moving upstream, on the contrary, a little bit like a salmon, you have the financial flow. So those goods that are moving, of course, you have a financial flow that is moving just on the reverse side. Now, what is superseding these 2 flows is the information flow. And this is where the communication question kicks in. And I think it's extremely relevant and valuable, is that you have to have the digital twin that is able to replicate your physical flows. And that digital twin needs to be as accurate and as representative of the reality as possible. So when we talk about the value of communication, the value of visibility, it's about having a representation that is accurate every time and all the time. So that's one of the core benefits of having that visibility. And what I like about your example, indeed, Caroline, is that this visibility, traditionally, the way the market is structured, is focusing really on what we call the visibility in transit. Okay, so you're going to worry about your product condition. Did it fall? Did it overheat? You're going to think of asset tracking, for example, what type of box is it moving in? You might think of multi-mode tracking as well, in terms of container movements or simply trailer movements as well. So all kinds of visibility. But all of that needs to also be considered next to the visibility on site, those movement in your yard, making sure that once the truck arrives into your yard, it's actually routed to the right dock, for example, or the right terminal. These are also essential pieces of visibility that shippers, but not only shippers, it's also, the stakes are quite high as well for the carriers. We need to make sure that those communication flows are as accurate as possible.